Hello everyone and welcome to the Saturday tier for the Italian and Great British Grand Prix. It's a little bit of a wet one for Monza, but we are underway for the first session this evening as we go down the start-finish straight and start the lap. It's all going to be pretty neck and neck, to be honest, as we get into turn one. We're on board with your race winner and pole sitter from yesterday, both races as well. And now Nifo gets ahead on the exit of the first corner. Zingy then gets them on the traction. And will they be able to hold this? And look at a pole position. They said that they were pretty comfortable with Silverstone. Not so much at Monza. In the wet conditions, though, that will definitely help them running the orange and purple car. Not quite the gold that we're used to seeing, but a little bit squirmy on these tyres, on the wet tyres. Charlie bumps themselves up. Heish back up to P3. Zingy all over the place on the rear end, but seems to get it back together as they get into the second Lesmo, losing the car on the rear end, but still controlling it quite nicely as you do get a lot of grip on that front end. Now we go to Ascari. Let's see what Zingy can do on board. Pretty tidy. Little bit tentative, maybe slightly messy on the exit. Did they invalidate that lap? Did they invalidate that lap? I don't think they did. They keep it going. They keep it going. So well done it for them to be able to do that. We've got actually a choice of the wet and the intermediate tyres. That is a crucial mistake that a few drivers have made there. Zingy is going to finish on pole position for this evening. Very, very good job. A nice little advantage, 6/10 to help him out. That is a hell of a gap that those intermediates have had to the wet tyres though. And we'll see how this one goes for the race. Will we get more wet conditions? Will we get dry conditions? We'll have a little look in a few moments' time. Zingy takes pole position, Charlie in P2 and Heischler in P3. Go for the race director just in case. And we'll be back for the race. We'll see you in a bit. Ready? Hold! Go! Who's going to get it into turn one? Zingy off the line. Will they be able to hold it? The dry conditions. Nifo again to the inside line, but Zingy goes defensive. Doesn't want the yellow car to have an advantage. It's going to be Charlie. It's going to be Heischler on the inside. Charlie will get the traction as they open up the steering. Nifo's going to get through as well. There's a bit of a clip on the exit. Just about keeping it in the straight line. Heischler will not be able to get the run. Peanuts in P5. Getting a second opportunity right here. We've got Tom Robb and Devon Young going side by side as they go to the first corner, but Tom will just about hold on, but he makes contact with the back of Beckham. Becken in the McLaren livery car is going to hold on just about. Tom goes to the back of the field, unfortunately off the start, and that is a tragic way for them to start their Grand Prix. Charlie holding on to the back of Zingy after the first few corners, and Nifo managing to keep the car in the straight line, still struggling a little bit after that moment of traction loss, where they lost a bit of time, unfortunately, to the cars ahead, but they are still somewhat close to the guys ahead as well anyway. DRS available on lap 2, not on the start-finish straight they're about to go to now, but it will be available as we go down the back straight towards Ascari on the next lap. Zingy leads the way, but they've got a lot of pressure behind. Charlie will continue to keep that pressure on. Not been the best circuit in the past for Zingy, has Monza, as they also this season just gone had a no points finish due to a pretty big crash. They're going to try and get a bit of an advantage compared to previous times. They have won here once before. Can they make it 2 times in LSI, once in official season, once in a series? Charlie right behind, but not able to make a move, not wanting to make a move at this stage. Nifo holding on, just waiting for these guys to do something up in front, and that is a big bit of understeer or twitchiness there for Charlie, as actually Zingy's let Charlie go to get that DRS back. I don't know if he just made a mistake or if they have done that. They to be very careful if they do that, because it's not really that nice to do. Anyway, he's going to get the DRS and probably remake that move, or are they going to wait? I think they must have made a mistake, because Charlie was having a bit of a twitchy moment as Zingy doesn't want to make the move just yet. Interesting stuff. Unfortunately, Tom is down the order without DRS, and everyone up ahead do have DRS available to them. That is Nifo and Heisler switching positions, so now Heisler's going to look to try and attack the pole sitter in those wet conditions, of course, see if they can use their experience from yesterday to get an advantage and maybe take another win if they can. A bit more of a full grid. Tom does catch up a little bit, but DRS again obviously is not available. That's going to be Zingy pushing to go to the outside line of Charlie. It's going to be side by side into the first corner. It's going to be a big crash behind. Oh no, someone's got front wing damage. I think Nifo might have just got away with it. That was Peanuts down the inside, and it didn't work. They lost the traction. Damage not to Becken, damage though to Devon Young, and that is absolutely tragic. What a shame. Left end plate and a right end plate is completely in the bin. Tom doesn't have damage, and Peanuts doesn't have damage somehow. Very impressive, but yeah, the rear end must have hit the front of the Brits car, and unfortunately that goes terribly for them. Charlie was able to hold on again to Zingy. Zingy having to sit behind for the moment, but might want to try and attack at some point soon, because obviously they've got Heish, who made one overtake, might be looking to try and keep that positive momentum if they can, so they do have to be really careful. Now, Devon is still there. If they can hold on for a few more laps, they might be alright. We're going to get the tyre situation on your screen right now, just to double check what's going on. If they hold on in this DRS, it might not be the worst race at all for them. They do have a lack of DRS, unfortunately. They could go into the pit lane now, but they are on the hard tyres, so they're going to have to continue. It's going to be 3 wide into the first corner as Heisler tries to send it down the inside line as Zingy makes the move. Heisler makes the move on Charlie. On the exit, it's very, very close. Nifo sits behind and just watches. Charlie might have a go here, using the energy. Heisler's using to defend as well, and they'll be catching Zingy up at a very, very positive rate, but not enough to challenge for an overtake as they continue. But Becken, 1.2 seconds despite being on that softer tyre, just can't find a way to catch up to these guys as they go into the first most. It's actually Heisler to the outside line trying to get the advantage. Charlie decides, you know what, I'm going to let you go into the second one. There's no point of us losing DRS because Zingy will be gone and we'll be absolutely screwed. They're fighting fairly hard. Charlie doesn't go for the move here on Heisler, but they do catch up a lot on the DRS, which is great news for them. That's Devon Young losing the position to Tom Brainer as they've got that damage, of course. It is inevitable, but unfortunately for Devon, they've got to go as long as they can on this medium tyre. They've got Peanuts, who will be trying to attack them next, their championship rival from last time in F1.5. You can see the performance difference that they've got on exit. They just have to go a little bit later on the throttle and their run is just completely screwed. That seems to be quite a severe internet issue between those two. Hopefully it's nothing too much more. Zinging into the first corner. It's all pretty civilized for most of the drivers right now. I don't think we're going to get any overtakes. Nifo is very close, and Becken has actually done a phenomenal job to catch up to these guys. They were battling, of course, ahead as we went into the Lesmos last lap around, so maybe that's where it really helped him out, and he is in the battle for the top 5, which is a phenomenal feature for him. On that tyre though, it's going to be a little bit different. Might try and go to the soft tyre. It's a 35% distance race, but still seems that people are wanting to go for the hard, medium, hard as a safer strategy. Softs aren't impossible, but you've got to really make them work. You've probably got to start at the front of the grid to make it work. At Monza, it's a little bit different because the DRS and the slipstream, straight line speed, the tyres kind of don't get affected in those areas. So as long as you're on a DRS train, hard tyre performance compared to a soft tyre, if you're in the DRS train, you're probably not really going to be losing that much to that. Fresher rubber. Heisler right at the back of Zingy right now, just holding on, waiting for a great opportunity. Harvesting the energy on entering into the corner, but now releasing the energy, and I'm going onto the wrong camera. There is Zingy, the middle of the circuit they choose, and Heisler's going to go to the outside. Lets it happen, but has to defend here from Charlie as well to avoid losing 2 positions. But I think Charlie's got so much momentum, that position will be theirs. And yeah, Zingy's gone from P1 to P3 in at 1 straight. That's how the ERS works in this game. It can be very useful depending on what situation you're in, but very annoying if you're in the advantageous situation of being up front track position wise, losing your positions, of course. Tom Rowe almost within reach of the guys ahead, so pushing hard. Devon has got the DRS, obviously, which is brilliant for them, holding on with that damage. This is very impressive stuff from the Brit. Actually still having an end plate on the front right, so it is just left hand damage, but it is still quite a bit of damage to that car, I will be honest with you. Yeah, it's a shame that they didn't start on the medium because they could go long to the end on the hards, but it's the game is the game. Zingy and Nifo having a look at switching up, but it's not going to be enough. That's going to be Zingy to the inside line of Charlie already into Parabolica. They know they'll get DRS. They know they'll have a decent advantage to be able to hold on again. Will they be able to get into the lead again of the Grand Prix? Heisch is a long way down the road. They're already out of ERS down the straight. He's going to look to the inside line. He's going to send it on the brakes. Heisch leaves the space. It's not going to be contact. Nifo's going to go through. Becken's going to go through as well. Charlie down to P5. Incredible switch up between these guys. The battle is very close despite the grid not being so big, and we are in for a very good race. Heisler maintains the lead, but that's Becken to the inside here of Nifojan. Nifo's going to get it on exit, and it's going to allow Charlie to come back through once again and get ahead of Becken. They've got the inside line, they've got the advantage. They will be in a very good position. And now Tomrov, Peanuts and Devon are all dragged into this battle as they all get DRS now. Unfortunately, Devon does have a 3-second time penalty. They actually lose a bit here, so it might be time for an early pit stop for them, which is a shame, but it's just the way it maybe goes. We'll see if they can catch up a bit as they get to the final corner before the DRS straight, but we'll see. Charlie, Nifo, very close to the back of Zingy. They might look to try and make a move. Nifo's got to be careful. They don't want to make a move on Zingy just yet. They actually aren't close enough. Maybe I was looking at the wrong cars there, but Charlie was so close to Nifo. I'm surprised that they didn't go for that move. Here we go though. Heisch has got a very big decision to make. Is he going to try and defend this position on lap 8 out of 19, or is he just going to let it happen? It's defensive all behind. Zingy's not going to challenge into the first corner, but who will challenge is Tom Rob, who's going to try and have a go around the outside of Nifojan. They will not get there. They get in front of Charlie. They get in front of Becken. Becken and Charlie again side by side. Becken, no, that's Charlie, sorry, coming out ahead of the side-by-side battle this time around. Would Becken try and come back at him? I don't know, but the fact that Tom has gone from at the back of the grid, almost out of DRS range, to now P4 in the fight for the win is incredible stuff. Very impressive driving. Anything can happen in this situation. Devon is continuing on circuit despite not having that DRS. You can see not having that DRS really does make it very difficult, just having to utilise the battery to minimise their time loss. And yeah, pit stops will be imminent for them. The medium tyre can probably go the distance, but they'll just have to save or just push, get DRS, then save, and then see how it goes from there. That's the way the game can work if you really play it the right way. But it's all very new, so it's a bit difficult. We'll see how this one goes. Nifo right behind. Would they try and go for a double overtake if Zingy tries to go for a move, or is he not going to pressure Zingy into going for an overtake? Zingy weaves to the inside line to try and communicate to the fellow drivers. That's going to be Charlie to the inside line of Tom Rob. Tom Rob trying to hold on the exit. They're going to give it everything they can. The car ghosts and Charlie finds the space on the exit. I mean, it was very, very, very tight between the two, so I'd kind of argue that's fair enough. Shouldn't have driven through a ghost car, but in that scenario I think they did what they could do, and there's big contact with Becken and Tom Rob. Big contact into the braking zone. That is absolutely catastrophic, and unfortunately Becken and Tom Rob will be down the order. Devon's made that pit stop, so they're not in the order at the moment. That'll be Peanuts out of DRS range, maybe affected by that. They had to brake a little bit earlier. Unfortunately, now that top four is all on its own once again. That is absolutely tragic between the two. I don't know if one of them has damage, but they might be able to get back into this race if they really have the pace and if the cars ahead battle. But into the braking zone, just a little bit of a tangle together. Both cars are around, and Tom gets a bit of an unfair time penalty to their name, unfortunately. Heischler leads the way again. Zingy, lap 10 out of 19. Got to be thinking about the pit stops within the next few laps, surely, but saving on the battery at all the cars down the straight. You can see that they're not intending on colliding with one another. They are literally just saving right now, just letting the cars run their race. And yeah, all good stuff for these guys at the moment. And fuel wise as well, it will probably help them out. Whether that'll be an issue this race, I don't quite know. Becken and Peanuts both into the pit lane. Soft tyre for Becken as they've started on the medium, as they're already going for that soft tyre, and then Tom Rob going for that standard medium tyre. Devon is coming right out behind him, and they didn't get their front wing changed because of the bug. Unfortunately, did not get their front wing changed, and they are going to have to continue. They still catch up obviously because of Tom Rob and Becken having their issues, but yeah, that's really tragic there for Devon. Really not what he wanted to do, because now they're not in the race. After all of that effort, they're still out of this race. They'll be back for Silverstone, of course, with a full front wing. They're not out of the race yet, don't say that. Lap 10 out of 19, we've got a long way to go. Charlie and Nifo switching up into Parabolica. Charlie sending on the inside, almost looking at contact with the back of Zingy, going into the pit lane as all four of the drivers so close between them all. Nifo manages to avoid the speeding penalty this time. Peanut stays out. Becken gets a track limit penalty, unfortunately. Where will Becken come out relative to all of these guys in the pit stops? I think they'll probably come out a little bit behind, unfortunately. Peanuts gets their glory for now and leads the Grand Prix. Eichel leads the way on the exit of the pit lane. No switch up, but Charlie didn't get the best pit stop compared to Zingy and Heischler, so they did lose that a little bit there, and Nifo also had to basically abide by Charlie there. They do still have DRS just about, so that's good news for them. They've got to still make sure that they tread carefully, so Charlie's going to have to push a little bit here, otherwise they could be in trouble, and that's going to be Devon Young going for the move here on Tom Rob. Tom, does he have damage as well, actually? I think they might have on the left and end plate. They do have damage, so both of these guys are having damage, and they are going to be racing quite nicely together, which isn't what you want to see, but it's what we saw. Devon got a race in yesterday at Silverstone. They'll get a second attempt, and some good old practice from yesterday will help them get a good result for sure this evening as they continue to learn the game and gain a bit more experience. Now, will we get some overtakes, or are we going to be waiting quite a while? Peanuts unfortunately getting a 10-second time penalty. You can actually serve a 10-second, not only 2 5-seconds, it's a full 10-second for speeding in the pit lane. Obviously you'll be waiting a lot longer, but I didn't realise that you can actually still serve that penalty. Now Charlie looks like they might be putting the pressure on. Maybe they were quite close to the back of Zingy, but not enough. They still continue, all saving the ERS down straight towards the end of it, as they all show their intentions are pretty clear. And that is Peanuts coming out almost side by side, but actually in the end it doesn't really make much of a difference. Tom Robb and Devon Young in the background at the back of the pack, fighting out with their damaged cars, of course. Now, Heisler, it's all in their hands at the moment, but they do have 3 cars right behind them in the firing line. Charlie, unfortunately, does have a 3-second. As you can see on the screen right there, a 3-second penalty to their name is not what you want to see. But Heisler on track has got 2 other cars behind him that could still overtake and take this win away. And Zingy is a brilliant, brilliant race driver and a race winner. Very good at finding a way to win a Grand Prix. Just through little tricks here and there that they managed to pull off. So we'll see. It's not going to be an easy thing for Heisch to be able to do. Of course, Zingy said that they really didn't like Monza in this game. It's the weaker circuit of the 2 this evening. But I'm sure they'll still be able to find a way to perform quite decently as they go for the lead of the Grand Prix. On lap 13 out of 19, they pull the pin. An interesting pin, a first phase pin if you like. It's not really enough to trigger a kind of a big battle where everybody's going to fight for position for the final few laps, because we're not that late into the Grand Prix just yet, but everyone's currently just endurance racing at the moment, continuing on their merry way. Peanuts a bit further back, unfortunately. Becken is right behind these 2 guys on the softer compound tyre. Peanuts actually re-overtaking Becken in that meantime, of course. Tom Robb and Devon Young within DRS of one another. It's very, very close. Tom's trying their best to escape. A bit more damage on Devon's car right there does make it very, very difficult. Tom's still having a bit of damage. They're trying their best to maintain their gaps to the back of Becken and Peanuts, and they might be able to get an advantage with those time penalties, of course, 10 seconds that they have over them. So they're looking for an extra position or 2 if they can do. Lap 13 on to lap 14 out of 19, and Heisler once again goes for the lead of the Grand Prix. Will Charlie try and follow on? They will not. They'll still wait behind, using a little bit of energy and then going back to the harvesting mode. We go with... well, that was Heisler getting 3 seconds. That is now Zingy into the net race lead and Nifo into net P2 at the moment. That is not what you want to see. Heisler just cutting over the curb, unfortunately. A pretty chunky curb at that into the first corner. Not too difficult to do though. Very easy to cut that one, and unfortunately that does mean that they get themselves a 3 second and they're going to have a very tough time for the rest of this race. Zingy and Nifo have the advantage at the moment. Still not impossible that they get a 3 second, as Nifo unfortunately gets a 3 second. That does mean Zingy's the only driver on the grid to not have a time penalty, and if they just make sure that they're very careful, they will be able to win this Grand Prix. They're still sure going to want to get it on track, so I think they're still going to push. That is going to be Charlie looking to go for a move here on Zingy already, as they realise, well, I've got a time penalty, you don't, I want to try and get ahead of Heisler. I don't care where you finish, according to me, I just need to get ahead of the lead car with that time penalty, of course. It's all a bit relative at the moment. Now Charlie is putting that pressure on. They're very close to the back of Zingy, using the energy. Heisler's using the energy. Nifo isn't. Just watching this battle happen up ahead of them right now. That is Zingy being forced to go on the attack here for Heisler. Very close to contact. That's going to be Charlie making contact with the rear of Zingy, but Zingy not really being affected by it. Doesn't lose any traction, slots in behind, and doesn't need to worry about Charlie, so can just wait behind Heisler. They're still going to go to the inside just to fake it, but harvest the energy a bit more, and Charlie almost going into the back of Zingy right there. So Charlie gave it a good effort, but unfortunately a little bit messy, and it wasn't enough. Did do the right thing to put the pressure on and forced Zingy to start fighting. Heischler using a lot of energy though, as they tried their best to break away if they could, but Zingy is right there, and DRS is going to help him catch back up. That 15 out of 19 will shortly be on lap 16. Devon Young unfortunately getting a time penalty as he pushes to try and catch back up to Tom, but it's not going to be enough. Becken and Peanuts, though, they are having their own little battle at the moment, getting their racecraft up, and you can see how ridiculous those cars look through Ascari. It's quite impressive, to be honest. Now Heischler is going to lead the way again, Zingy in P2, and will they go for the attack? I'm sure Charlie's going to be putting that pressure on. They are really using the battery to make sure that Zingy has to go for the lead of the Grand Prix. Is Zingy just going to wait and be a brick wall? They aren't. They are going to go into the front of the pack. Heischler's going to try and stick his nose in. That's never going to work. There's contact between the two. Charlie's going to get the exit. Nifo's not going to be in a position to make a move, at least on 2 cars, but they will on 1. Heischler's going to have to let that one go, and Charlie will be attacking Zingy again, the leader of the 3-second time penalty runners, and Nifo is going to be in an interesting position, but they actually have damage, which I didn't realise. Did they get damage just then from a little bit of a nick, possibly from the cars ahead going quite slowly? I don't know when that would have happened, but it must have been, and maybe, yeah, I think it was possibly that moment right there, because they were going quite slowly and a little bit ghosted at the back of the pack, which is terrible for them. It is Monza, straight line speed is key, so really they should be okay, but it just does make it a little bit more difficult. Charlie goes for the move here, and Zingy's going to sit right behind. These two can work together here. If Charlie is smart about it, yes, they might not win it on circuit, but they can make sure that they stay ahead of Nifo and Heischler by working together with Zingy, who has his clear own goals at the moment with his own time penalty situation to worry about, of course. Unfortunately, that is Becken losing out, and they are going to be fighting with Devon and Tom Robb. In the meantime, no switching up between the top 4 right now. They continue on their merry way. We're going to have a quick look. Where is Becken? Into the pit lane, actually. And maybe they'll go for fastest lap, as they had that little spin on Parabolica there. Now, Zingy leads the way. Charlie in P2. As we saw, DRS will be available for Charlie, and they'll make that move. Will Nifo try and go for full attack on lap 18? We don't quite know. Now, if Nifo goes for the move on this lap, then forcing Charlie to also go for it, who is, by the way, already going to go for it. As they're side-by-sides, and he realises they're side-by-side and is able to lift off to let that car go through as long as they are alongside, which is perfectly fine. Now Nifo, will they push for an overtake? Now, if it was Charlie right in front of them, I think they would have. They're going to have to push anyway, because Heischler's going to push instead. Heischler using all the battery to make sure they get in front. Zingy's going to look to go back into the lead of the Grand Prix. Heischler to the outside line, and Charlie is going to miss out on that crucial stuff right there. All of a sudden, Heischler goes from P4 to P2, and that is the leaders of the time penalties. I didn't know if Charlie didn't expect that one coming, as they go again to attack as they get into the second chicane. And they're looking to try and be ahead. They're going to try and send it round the outside. They lose the car. They massively lock up the rears. They've just about kept it in a straight line, but definitely hindered Nifo there, as they're going to lose a bit of time right here. So that is really not what you want to see. Unfortunately, a little bit of a mistake that does affect another car. Now, DRS will be available, and Nifo will be able to catch up a little bit, but Charlie and Zingy will have little intention to really fight each other too hard. Obviously, Zingy has everything to lose. Charlie if they want to go for the move, they can. There's not really much of a point in it. They'll just be able to get the DRS and have an easy way to defend. Zingy, whether he wants to allow Nifo to go in front and attack Charlie, it's up to the mercy of him. So it's an interesting situation for all the drivers right here as we start the final lap of the Grand Prix, the Italian Grand Prix. Who will win? Well, on track, Zingy is going to look to win this Grand Prix quite nicely. Charlie's still going to go on the attack to try and get it on circuit to the outside line. Zingy's going to let that one go, and Heister is going to smash into the back of Zingy late on into the Grand Prix. It happened yesterday on lap 3. It happens today on lap 19 out of 19, and they will not be able to find the time to be able to attack back and build their, or not build their gap, bring back the gap to fight for the win. Unfortunately, that's big damage for them as well. We go to the back of the cars, and that's Tom Robb. Tom Robb is having a massive issue there, hitting a barrier, hitting a foam board, and launches the car in the air. That must have been with Devon if they were fighting. I'm not sure if they were, to be honest. We'll see. Unfortunately, Nifo has got a car in between, so they will not be able to challenge Charlie here for a position. I'm sure they'll be using energy to try and utilize everything they can out of the car. Zingy wants to try and get it on track, but it's not going to happen. Charlie will have the advantage right there. Nifo is closing in rapidly. I don't know if it's going to change, though. Charlie looks like they're going to win it on circuit, drifting through the final corner. Zingy's going to win the Italian Grand Prix for the Saturday tier, and that's going to be Nifo in P3. Heischler will hold on just about to a P4. Peanuts will take a P5. We'll get Devon Young getting the advantage over Peanuts on time penalties. They'll get a P5 after all of that with the damage. Tom Robb is going to limp home after a dramatic final lap of the Grand Prix as well for them. And they will take that P7, and Becken looking to get the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, they will take a P8 in the end for themselves. Welcome back, Zingy. Didn't race yesterday, but they take the victory here in Monza. If they win the British Grand Prix in a few moments' time, they will have taken 100% win rate in the Saturday tier for the launch season. And the only race they lost was against Bassoon when they were on circuit. Of course, they didn't race yesterday, so they did lose out 3 wins potentially, unfortunately, overall. But he still won, and he's on pole position for the next race in Silverstone. Zingy takes the win. Charlie in P2. Then we've got Nifo fastest lap. Heischler, Devon, Peanuts, Tom Robb, and Becken at the back of the pack. That's the rest of the grid. And then we'll go through the race director, and we'll be back for the race. We'll see you in a bit. Alrighty, the next race at Silverstone is about to be underway. We'll be with you very, very shortly. Ready? Hold! Go! Who's going to get it into turn one? We are away. Zingy gets away very, very well. And I think he's going to take the lead pretty easily. Charlie will slot him behind. Nifo's got the inside line now. Now be the outside line as they go into the first chicane. Can they swoop through? Looks like they will. They go off circuit slightly, lose the traction of the car. They've got the inside line, but not the steering to open up and get the traction down. Charlie will hold on. Heischer on the outside of Devon Young right here. They've got Tom Robb right behind to keep them company, and Devon's going to have to slot in behind after that one. It's side by side between the race leaders. Zingy's trying his best to hold on. They've got the inside line. Charlie will be able to open up the steering as they did on Nifo. They're going to get the traction. There's lag everywhere. I think they've got the job done though. Into Copse Corner. They're not going to go side by side, and Charlie gets into the lead of the Grand Prix. Absolutely perfect stuff from them. Heischer manages to get in front of Nifo eventually, and Devon Young has just got the better of Tom Robb on the exit of Copse Corner right there, and everyone is still within each other at the moment within the pack. That's going to be Heischer going off the circuit as he loses the car on at the exit of Magnussen Beckett, so Chapel Corner. I think he maybe was reacting to Niffer having a bit of a moment up ahead, and then unfortunately had a moment of them for themselves, and that is them down the order. So unfortunately, commentators curse, we're all together, and now we're not. So Nifo manages to hold on to the back of the pack. We're going to get a DRS pretty soon. Charlie leads the way, not using the new line for the first corner. As you can see, Zingy holding more central to avoid the bumps, whereas Charlie did not do so. So good track knowledge there from Zingy. Everyone is close to one another. DRS will be available, and the top 5 are leading as they go. Charlie, will they concede the lead immediately? They're going to hold on to it for now. Nifo is right behind and ready to pounce if there is a mistake from either driver up in front. So having that issue to begin with, but now coming back very, very strong and being in a fighting position again. Running the blue and yellow as we've seen, with the black as well. There's a bit of light grey to add to that really as well, which is quite nice to see. On the purple, and the default, or not the default for Charlie, just a grey car on the exit. Will they have it? They're not going to. They will actually, never mind. Pulls to the left hand side nice and aggressively, and they're going to clearly be ahead there of Charlie. DRS will allow Nifo to catch up a little bit. Charlie goes off the circuit, so does Zingy, so does Devon. Tom Robb manages to stay within. Where does Heischer go? Or they go off the circuit as well, unfortunately, and Zingy leads the way on lap 3 out of 18. Maybe there's some sort of advantage at Stoke Corner, as we used to see in the 2019 and 2020 F1 game, so that it would be a shame to see that bug come back for so many years ago, as it wasn't in 2021 2 or 3. But 2024 may be a little bit of a different story. Now, Zingy lost the car a little bit there as they clouted the inside curve into 3. And on the inside, Charlie will send it and make the move stick. Nifo is just going to have to slot in behind and wait for something to happen. Tom Robb is getting a little bit restless here, trying to have a go on Devon Young, on one of the best camera shots I've seen in a while, making contact with the back of Devon there, as they just misjudge it a little bit, and they will lose their momentum and have to continue behind. Charlie taking a wider line than Zingy into Copse Corner, but nothing is really too much of an issue there for Charlie, because Zingy doesn't want to go for an overtake there. He wants to go for an overtake on the exit of Magnussen Beckett's, and he will get the DRS, and it's going to be a pretty straightforward one. Will Nifo try and follow along and get a P2 position, or are they still going to wait behind? They're still going to wait behind, and Charlie will slot in that P2 position. Looks like we're going to get a pretty straightforward race for the next few laps at least. Tom over track limits again, as we saw a few moments ago. They also did that, unfortunately. It was about on the exit Chapel Corner again, but they managed to keep it together in a straight line. Just unfortunately, they will have a bit of a disadvantage later on. It is an easy track to get time penalties at Silverstone though, so I'm sure some others might have some difficulties as well, and Tom might not be on their own. For the driver's sake, I hope there aren't any more time penalties, and also for the driver's sake, I hope Tom doesn't spin, but unfortunately that is a spin, and they will join Heischer behind. and they will have to try and make something work. They will be quite close together to one another. Tom did actually get DRS, which does help them, but tyre-wise, strategy-wise, they're going to have to think of something a little bit different if they want to get back in this race. Maybe they'll go for the soft tyre if they go a little bit longer later on into the Grand Prix. Now the top four, a little bit different from Monza. Instead of Heischler, we swap with Devon Young, who's in the pack and ready to go. Will they be able to be competitive? Zingy, Charlie, Nifo and Devon holding on behind, using the energy, going on in the attack to try and get Nifojan here, trying to make some progress. Charlie will not be going for a move on Zingy. I think he got a little bit scared though, because he saw Devon coming through, and they had to move over on the outside line. Devon also trying to have another go on Charlie. These two had a little bit of a scuffle in Silverstone, of course, costing Charlie the potential to win their first Grand Prix. Devon making contact, and yeah, it wasn't the best result for them the entire season, but still they got some decent points for their championship fight. Charlie sending it to the inside line, losing the car under braking. Devon might have a go, but a little bit hesitant, and Nifo is all over the back of the Brit and wanting to get a better exit. They might try and find themselves back into P3 if they can get the job done. They're not going to use the energy, they're going to let that be. Once again to the inside line at the end of the first straight, Charlie sends it onto the inside, and they are going to have a field day at that corner. That just seems to be absolutely phenomenal for them. Woodcote, is that Woodcote? I think it's Woodcote corner, doing a very, very good job. And the Wellington straight that was, it definitely helps them. I may be wrong on the corner names, but I know that straight is the Wellington one. And yeah, a bit of lag, unfortunately. Also, the fact that these cars are so aggressive, I think, is a combination, making it a very weird sight to see. Devon, would they try and go for the inside line on Charlie? Not getting quite enough speed to have a go and challenge to the inside line, unfortunately. Zingy, on the other hand, did get back into that P1 spot, and that's going to be Devon Young, unfortunately, losing out as they lock the rears, and they don't get damage, but they've got some old hot tyres, hot tyres right now. Tom Robb and, well, Heischler, Tom Robb, unfortunately, no, not unfortunately, goes into the pit lane quite early. Devon will lose to Heischler, and they will have again, a bit of an interesting race for themselves. Now, Zingy, Charlie and Nifo are the top three instead, and DRS is available for all three drivers. So, one less driver in this battle, unfortunately. Zingy holds on for the moment, and this time Charlie will not have their opportunity on the inside line at the end of the straight, but this time wait. They don't have as many cars behind them, so only one car behind to try and fend off. They have a big bit of kind of oversteer there for Charlie as they went to Copse Corner, just about from what you could muster from these connection shenanigans that we're seeing right now. That is a track limit possible warning right there for Charlie, which isn't ideal. Seems like Chapel Corner is getting a lot of people, not only today but in this game at Silverstone. Compared to previous games, you can just go over it a lot easier, and that's where people start to push the limits and then go over the limit a little bit too much. Now, Nifo and Zingy might have an advantage over that later on if they can make sure that they stay out of time penalties as well. Zingy is got a little bit of pressure as they go into the first corner, and Charlie trying to have a go. Will they send it to the inside line? They will not. They'll continue on their racing line as planned, and they will be all good. DRS will be available again. Will we see another textbook and signature move at the end of the Wellington straight for Charlie? We will not. Until we get to the later stage of the straight, they might go for the inside, but they will hold on for now. There's a long way to go in this Grand Prix. Why would they put so much stress on themselves when they don't actually need to? Now, Devon Young is nice and close to the back of Heischler at the moment, and these two may have their own battles within a few moments, but they do need to think about that strategy, of course. Tom Robb going for that soft tower, as I expected. They're going to try something at least a little bit different. Safety car wise, we haven't seen any this launch season, so we'll continue to test that for the summer season, of course, and maybe we'll have to change the settings on the safety car. We'll see though. I'm sure the top 3 right here are happy that there's not been any safety cars because they are in their good old battle, which is definitely going to help them. I think he leads the way. Now, fuel may be a factor around this circuit. That is going to be Tom crashing out at Copse Corner, which is very possible at a circuit like this, and that'll be Devon Young diving into the pit lane, getting a free stop. Now they are slightly behind Zingy, Charlie and Nifojan. That's going to be Zingy who goes off the circuit, and there's a 10-second time penalty to Charlie for ignoring yellow flags right there. Zingy dropped back. I don't know if they just got a legal overtake or something, but Charlie then goes over in front of Nifo. That went all a little bit weird. Charlie and Nifo both getting 10-second time penalties for a very, very strange safety car issue that continues to haunt at the Silverstone Grand Prix. Very weird that we always seem to get issues with safety cars at the Silverstone Grand Prix. Now, Tom having a big crash, unfortunately, at Copse Corner. The front just grips up if you try and correct it, and then you basically send yourself into the wall, and yeah, that's very unfortunate but easily done. And now, because the nature of the way this safety car has gone, the delta will have dropped, and now Devon Young will be able to push nicely and catch up to these guys up ahead. The issue is, though, he's on a very different tyre. Will they try and go for second medium tyre? That could possibly work, whereas everybody else would have to go onto a hard tyre potentially to the end of the Grand Prix. I feel like a soft wouldn't get you there unless they're really going to try and stay out ahead on that soft, and they may even get into the lead of the race. They would get into the lead of the race if they stayed out, but they could go onto a fresh set of medium tyres to the end of the race, and they would be absolutely fine. So that is the advantage that they have had right now. They would be at the back of the pack, but they would be there. They would actually potentially get a jump over Charlie and Niffa, who will be serving their time penalties this lap. So Heischler is likely to be the net P2 as they all dive into the pit lane. A very long pit lane, but the speed limit is a lot slower, so they've all got to be super careful as they go in. Heischler looked to try and make the overtake on Niffo. It did not work this time. It's not going to work, unfortunately. It was close, but it will hold off. And Devon does stay out. That's very interesting. I didn't expect that. I really didn't expect that. Zingy goes for a set of softs, and Heischler for a set of hard softs. Also for Niffo, and softs for Charlie. So that's kind of okay news for Devon, because it shows that he's on a decent strategy. He does have one lap less, of course, and I reckon he probably was pushing not too hard but a little bit under that safety car to make sure that he did come out ahead quite nicely. Now, hard tyre for Heischler. He's going to be good to go to the end of the Grand Prix. The others might cause themselves a few issues, of course, if they get severe wear late on, but if they really work together and push, and Charlie and Niffo can get a nice advantage over Heischler immediately or as soon as they can, then they will be pushing quite hard, and it's going to be very hard for a hard tyre, no pun intended, to be able to break away, or at least keep, with the pack. It would be very easy to break away because you would lose out quite a lot. We'll see, and we'll wait for these guys to catch up. We might even go racing at the end of this lap. Alright, we are going racing once again. Devon Young leads the way for the first time in the F1 24 game behind the safety car, and he goes for it very, very, very early on. Zingy reacts quite well. Not bad at all, but I don't know expecting Devon Young to go for that. That's Zingy's signature move, not anyone else's. Heisler wasn't able to get the traction down, and they've lost the car already. Unfortunately, that's them down the order, and the soft tyres will run away. That being said, Charlie is 1.5 seconds away. Zingy's already looking to go for the move on the inside of Devon. They will not. They take a very different line to look for the switchback. All over the place is Devon trying to defend and make sure that nothing else happens, moving all the way to the right-hand side circuit, of the circuit I should say, and then getting to the apex, and they've managed to do that quite nicely. Now Charlie does catch up, Nifo follows on as well, so the top four will continue. The hard tyre of Heisler unfortunately was not the one to go for, didn't quite get the temperature, and immediately had issues off the start right there, which is yeah, not what you want to see at all, but hard tyre, it's the way it goes. It's always going to be very difficult to compete off a safety car restart against a set of softs. Now, the question is, will Devon Young's tyres be able to hold on compared to the rest? In the previous game, it should have been fine, and in a 50% distance race, it should be fine. We've got less distance on this race, higher percentage of or higher rate of tyre wear. He's being forced to go for an offensive move here on Devon Young by Charlie. Charlie doesn't want to wait around. They've now got the outside line of Zingy. Are they going to try and stick it around the outside? They're not going to. They're going to let it be, and Zingy will continue up ahead just for now. Looking on the exit though, got a lot of pace and might want to try and go for a move sooner rather than later. You can see the difference in line between Zingy and Charlie, and in qualifying I think Zingy's line definitely is the beneficial one, but Charlie seems to still have a decent line on the exit and would be in an attacking position if they really wanted to, but they've got a car up ahead so they wouldn't be able to do that, of course. Now DRS being used, but no energy, they're just going to let it be, and Devon continues in the lead of the Grand Prix. Zingy's not too worried, they're just kind of holding on for now, which is perfectly fine for them, as long as they keep eye in the rear wing mirrors, they'll be absolutely fine. I say that, you're just wing mirrors in F1 car. They should be absolutely fine, and they'll be able to hold off Charlie with that DRS as well, but they will have to kind of abide by what Charlie does, because if Charlie tries to push for an overtake, then Zingy will have to overtake Devon. It's absolutely nuts. I do apologise for the stability issues from the game right here. That is unfortunately a time penalty there for Charlie. That's going to be a position gain for Zingy, and Charlie, will they also try and go for the move on the inside line? They will not. They will not. And Devon will now be sitting in P2. Charlie, not happy. They want to go for the inside line, but it's not going to work. Devon still leaves the space. They're just going to lose time. He goes over the curb to the inside line. Does Charlie go? It's not going to work out that well, and Devon still holds on. So they're trying to go aggressive, but then just about backing out. Devon's taking that different line, of course, and it's worked okay, but not really compared to Charlie's offensive overtake. But they don't get it. They broke a little bit too late, and Devon will get the DRS and the switchback, and unfortunately for them, Zingy has broken away. So these guys trying to go aggressive, but then also not aggressive at the same time, and that's just basically allowed Zingy to break away, and Nifo has just been sat watching this and can't do anything about it, which is really frustrating when you're in this position. Seems like the lag's just picked up in the last few moments. I really do apologise for this, but there's not really much I can do. We didn't have this yesterday. Nothing's changed. It's just incredibly random right now. It does seem that everybody is affected though, so at least the drivers on track won't have the same issue. That is Charlie going off the circuit. Nifo gets a phenomenal exit, and they're going to go for the move here on Devon. Devon can't do anything about it on this straight. 0.7 seconds. Will they be able to catch up? I don't think they will be able to catch up to Zingy despite that extra bit of toe. It's not going to work out. Zingy leads the way still by 1.5 seconds, and if it does catch up a little bit in that final sector, Devon not really holding on too much. They can't really find the extra pace, but they will hold on to DRS just about, and they'll be able to bring themselves back into it. Charlie just sitting behind, having a few aggressive attempts at making overtakes, just didn't quite work out, and then they've ended up losing out, and now they're sat in P4 with a time penalty and having to regain a bit of energy with Devon just up in front. Now, DRS is used there for Devon, but he was still harvesting some battery, which is interesting, of course, because you're trying to save a little bit, but also not. Now, Zingy is quite slow at the moment. I believe they may be, I was going to say I believe they may be slowing down, but they're using ERS, which is a strange one. Are they using energy and lifting off the throttle for fuel purposes? I'm not entirely sure. But it will allow Nifo to get back within DRS at some point. Very, very close. Nifo wasn't able to just about then, but it should be possible if this continues throughout the next few corners. Now, Charlie, have they got a bit more damage or something? Have they got damage that we haven't seen? Because they're losing a ton of time, a lot of momentum. It's really not nice to see, and it does mean that they will lose DRS, and therefore a close battle will unfortunately be coming to an end for Charlie. They'll still be nice and close to the pack behind. They do get a few decent corners and hold on to DRS though, so that is brilliant news for them. Zingy just about holding on with that situation, of course, of the gap between Nifo. Doesn't want Nifo to get within DRS range, because otherwise it'd just be a little bit more unnecessarily difficult. They do have a big lack of battery though. I just wanted to have a quick look to see what was going on there with the fuel, if that was an explanation for that, but no. Nifo was just cooking in that sector potentially. Devon was able to be dragged along with him, 7/10 away. Charlie all of a sudden now, from being further behind, is now back in a position to be able to battle with the cars up in front. And 1.2 seconds away from the leader, still on track. It's not impossible to have a fight. Now, once again, going off the circuit is Charlie. So that's Chapel Corner yet again, affecting another driver having more issues. DRS will be available and they won't lose that much time. It will be minimal. So very lucky for that. But yeah, can't afford to do that again. Couldn't afford to do that in the F1 23 game. So they will have to count their lucky stars. If it loses the traction on the exit, and that's about 2/10 lost to Zingy. And by the time you get to turn 1, it's a 2.5 almost 3 you get to, and he'll have a nice advantage from that, of course. But still, Nifo has got a lot of pace in that car. Charlie manages to find so much time in that first sector, and as you can see on your screens right now, we've got rain. Lap 15 out of 18. We have got rain, like Belgium last weekend in the Saturday tier, I believe it was. We have got rain, and we're on slick tyres. We're going to have to make a pit stop. Will Heischler get this right and be able to be back in this battle on track, or will he not? You never know. You can never say never. But it's going to be a difficult one. It's going to be a very difficult one to call. Usually Zingy is so good at doing this. He will probably be waiting for DRS to be disabled and then dive into the pit lane. Whether they make the call to do that earlier or not, I don't quite know. Heischler's gone early to try and make this work, as they know that in this game it is incredibly difficult to drive on a set of slick tyres on inters. It's not that difficult to drive on dry condition tyres with an intermediate tyre. Dry conditions with an intermediate tyre. Now, Devon decides to go for the overtake, and that's very, very smart. Before it gets too wet, make sure that you get track position, and they'll be good to go. They do catch up a little bit to Zingy, but on the exit, just can't compete. Zingy is very, very, very quick. We're going to go on board with Heisch on that tyre. Now, they are only going to get quicker, but are they going to be quick enough to get a decent advantage? 16.6 seconds at the moment. Watch that gap to see how it changes, and when will Zingy try and go into the pit lane, of course. As I did say, in this game it is a lot harder to drive on wet condition, slick tyres on wet condition track, but it's not impossible, and Zingy's still trying to wait for that perfect opportunity to be able to maximise their ability, and that is Nifojan and Devon Young into Kop's corner. It looks like they're going to try and go side by side. He backs off and lets things be, but on the exit they were really wanting to give it a go. They want in trap position. They're thinking about pitting within the next 2 laps for sure. Maybe this lap, maybe next lap. I don't know how this is going to go. They are going to be reacting to Zingy. I bet you they're going to follow exactly what Zingy does and nothing other than that. DRS is not available for Nifo, but it's available for Charlie, and maybe Nifo just didn't want to use it, didn't want to go for the move or something. They don't go into the pit lane. Charlie's not going to go to the pit lane, neither is Zingy. They're still waiting for DRS to be disabled. A big lock up there for Nifo, and a move around the outside there for Charlie. Brilliant traction from them, just trying to get the car under control was Nifo, and by the time they did, Charlie was in front. Very well held, I have to say though, from the Dutchman, and manages to keep it together. Very close to the back of Charlie though. Devon has a little bit of breathing room. Of course, Charlie also having that time penalty, which is perfect for Devon right now. 2 seconds Zingy has on the rest of the pack, just using his skill to read the weather conditions in the F1 game over the years. He definitely deserves every success that he has, because his ability to do this is very, very impressive. Now, it's not that wet. It is not that wet, but it's getting wetter. It's slowly getting wetter. Looking at the delta from Heischler, unfortunately he's pitted way too early. The rain's just not come quickly enough, and it looks like we're going to continue all the way to the end on the slick tyre. Now, the thing is, if Zingy pits, and sure, maybe the M2 will be faster, the other cars will just stay out and then win the Grand Prix, because I don't think the delta is that different. So, it is literally going to be a slick run to the end. I apologise if you wanted to see a strategy race at the end of the Grand Prix. It's not going to work. It might be a little bit of car control race to the end though, as Devon Young drifts through Stowe Corner, struggling on the traction with the wet conditions, the greasy conditions. Nifo has a look to the outside line on Charlie. Will they go for one overtake early in the lap and then go for it on Devon? I don't quite know. He wants to try and go for a move here on Devon to get it ahead, but Charlie, they have that time penalty, which really doesn't help Devon. It doesn't help Nifo. He tries his best to hold on, but he attacks the curb with all his might. Absolutely crazy stuff there from Charlie. They're still trying to get it on track position. They're still trying to get P2 on track. DRS available, and I think Devon's just going to let this one go and see if he can hold on to Nifo, but he goes so wide. Nifo goes through. Nifo into P3 and net P2. What a mistake there for Devon. They will get DRS, that's for sure, but Charlie will give Nifojan DRS, and that is probably going to be it right there. That was a crucial mistake from Devon, and I don't know what to say. They've dropped behind. They can't believe what's just happened. They're trying to recoup. They have one final sector to get an opportunity to make this work, but I don't know if it will be enough. On the exit as they go down the hanger straight, DRS, ERS being blasted to the absolute fullest. Will Nifo attack Charlie to the inside line? They go for the move. They go off the circuit. Devon's going to come through and regain the position. Absolutely incredible. The inside line not available. Zingy wins the British Grand Prix. Charlie will take a P2 and Nifo will get it because Devon's made a mistake. No, they won't. They will. That was absolutely incredible. I had no idea what was going on. We couldn't see it from the camera view, but they must have had a big loss of traction on the exit into the final chicane, and there was all a little bit of a moment there with the ghosting. They were going so slow after the contact that the cars seemed to immediately ghost in this game, which, depending on who you are, is a great advantage. Devon was hoping that he didn't ghost, but Nifojan took the advantage at the very end, and they've got the position by 0.032 seconds. Absolutely incredible. Charlie almost had it as those guys were battling so hard. P4 by just over 1 second in the end. Heischler will finish the Grand Prix on the intermediate tyre, which will probably be starting to get a little bit faster, but obviously a little bit too late, unfortunately. Zingy, a phenomenal drive, and almost 5 seconds in the end. He's going to be very happy. The Scotsman again delivers 2 pizzas for you. First in Monza, a classic Italian, and then a great British takeaway pizza. Or an oven pizza from Sainsbury's, whatever you want. Silverstone will give you that. And Zingy is probably going to say, no, actually I want it from Iceland. Now, we are not supported by any of those companies. I do apologise if I confused any of you. But Zingy wins the Grand Prix. Who's going to get driver of the day? I want to see who that will be. It's going to be Devon again. Very good job from Devon right there, making their way up the field. Having a great battle. Unfortunately, just missed out from Niffo. Niffo's going to be very pleased with himself after that one, though. Went full send. It went full send for sure. Zingy, Nifojan, and then Devon with a fastest lap in a P3. Then Charlie Heichler and Tom Robb, unfortunately DNFing, the only DNF, and causing that safety car, of course, which brought everything very, very close at the very end of the Grand Prix right there. That's the race director. We'll be back in a bit for the post-race interviews. Hello everyone and welcome to the post-race interviews of the Italian and British Grand Prix. That was a pretty crazy one. Tom, we start with you. Looked like you were flying, quite literally, at the end of the Italian Grand Prix, and then unfortunately a bit of a bug, it seems, that affected you in the Silverstone race.
Yeah, Italy, I was really quick. I felt like from raw pace, I was the fastest on the grid today, which surprised me a lot, but I was very happy about. Then the really unfortunate collision with Becken completely ruined my race. Because like if you're 1 second behind the DRS train, you can get up to them. But being 5, 6 seconds down, at first, it's like no chance. And then the spin in the end of the Italian race was very annoying because I just wanted to try to go for the fastest lap in the end because you can do that on all tires. Lost then a position for the starting grid in Great Britain. Yeah, and then in Silverstone, first touch with Devon, which is really dumb that I completely spin just because I tapped his rear slightly. Yeah, wanted to go for a really extreme undercut to maybe get a chance to fire the guys ahead. And on my second lap on the soft tire, the game just shows me reconnecting to the server, but completely on my whole screen, so I couldn't see anything of the track. And then I can't drive cops when you don't see the apex.
Yeah, so you were actually still in the lobby, it just decided it was going to tell you that you had issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was hoping like maybe the AI takes over, like after half a second I notice it, try to get the apex and maybe continue when it's done. But yeah, completely missed the apex because of that and no chance to recover it.
Yeah, that's annoying. That is very annoying. But at least it's happened now in the launch season. Do you know why that may have happened, or do you think it's just a game thing?
I would say just a game thing. Um, like in Italy, it was a bit scary with the whole internet connection. But I felt in Silverstone was a lot better. And then suddenly I just got the warning.
Right. Okay, that's annoying. Yep, that's annoying. Well, thank you very much. The launch season is done. You've completed that. And, well, we'll move on to the summer season. Are you looking forward to that now the launch season is done? Do you think you can do well there? And, yeah, thank you. Sorry. Do you think you can do well there?
Yeah, probably. I don't know which are the first track. Okay, Spain is the first track. I really love it. Then I've got a bit of holiday break. But in general, there are quite a few tracks I already done. I like it. And I think the pace just can go up from now on.
Awesome. I can't wait. Well said. Thank you very much. And we'll see you next time. Well done today. Great effort. And we move on to Charlie. Charlie, that was a race full of a lot of battling for sure. Are you happy with your performance today?
Yeah, well, I honestly expected to be much slower after in the new game. Like, I don't know, I just couldn't really pick up the pace at the beginning, but now I'm back, kind of. Like, I like the handling model now a lot better, I think, after the update. So yeah, I'm happy with my pace.
So almost winning basically winning on track in Monza. Do you think you could have maybe won in Silverstone if you didn't lose DRS to Zingy?
Maybe not. I don't know. Honestly, a lot of things happen in the Silverstone race, so I can't really tell.
Fair enough. Well said. I hope it goes well for you next time, and yeah, your pace is looking very good, so I'm very excited to see how that one goes for the future. Well done, Charlie. Thank you very much. Congratulations on the good results, obviously if you take away the time penalties, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And we move on to Heisler. That was a tough one. Monza, of course, right up there all the way until the final lap. Silverstone didn't quite go so well. I'll let you tell us what happened.
Yeah, Monza was like it was the same as yesterday. I felt like I had over the rest of the guys at the overspeed again, but yeah, I don't really remember what happened actually. I just fucked up, I guess. I mean, these races are moments to try shit, and I found out that I need to look into setups a bit more. I think I have some issues during races that I think I can save with setup.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, Silverstone was just a complete mess for me. And at that point, you just again try things. For example, bidding for those inters. And yeah, I just know I have to look into setups more. But I know as well that I have the pace to fight everyone that finished ahead of me today.
Awesome. Looking at the Silverstone race with the tyres, do you think maybe one more lap and the Inter would have kicked in? Were you really not wanting to go on that slick tyre? Or are you just trying something a little bit different?
Well, I have seen clips that can go quite quickly from dry to wet. That the wets are quicker, or yeah. Well, how am I gonna say this? They quicker quite quickly, if I'm
Right.
saying it correctly.
Yeah. They
More
get
than
quicker
they
quickly.
did. Yeah, more than they did the last game. So I was looking if it is that way, but it is somewhat. It feels a bit weird. But I would say it was just way too early. Not even one lap later than the race finish would have been the lap to pit. So it was just the wrong choice. But now I know.
Fair enough. Yeah, I guess there wasn't really much standing water on the circuit, so I guess I have to judge it by that. But it's something to learn, so I'm glad you could test that now and for the future races. Thank you very much, Heich. Really good effort today. Nice result in Monza before the final lap. And we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we move on to Nifo. Nifo, that was pretty crazy. Obviously, Monza was quite a good one, right up there with the battles all the way to the end and the beginning. Did you have damage, I think, as well on Monza at the very end as well? But also, what the hell? The end of the Silverstone race, big balls it looked like.
Yeah, I mean, both races are pretty crazy. I enjoyed them both a lot. I mean, Monza was interesting. When Peanuts threw the dive somewhere in, I think, lap 3 or something, he went like sideways, and I was the first car to hit him, and I got like light green damage on my right side, and then like it was fine, but I could manage. And then I think 6 laps to the end, I think Gijs and Zingy were side by side and holding each other up, and then Charlie had to switch back and then hit them, and then I hit him, and then I got wing damage as well, so even bigger wing damage on my left side. So these was equal, got some on my left, got some on my right, but I'd rather not have any. I mean, I thought it was a mature race. I just stayed behind, looked for opportunities, let them fight, just save tires, and manage ERS. I think I only made the mistake at the very end. I should have overtaken Zingy at the exit of turn 2. I didn't know he had no ERS. I said, "Oh no, I'll stay behind." And he said, "Oh yeah, I have no ERS." Then it's too late, and that's why Charlie got away from me, which is annoying. But it's a mistake I made. I'll learn from it. I'll learn to be a bit more aggressive in the future. I was a bit too passive, probably because the whole race was a little bit passive. But yeah, that was my mistake. And then Silverstone again, same thing. Just I think very mature drive. Just stayed behind, didn't fight anybody that hard. I was just looking at P1, not P2, P3. Just if you want to overtake me now, I'll overtake you later. If we can work together. And then obviously Charlie and Devin didn't understand the memo in lap 12. Started fighting really hard. Lost the DRS to Ziggy, even though I was very. I think it was very clear that I didn't want them to fight on the goal, but they can do what they want. Obviously, it's a launch season; doesn't matter that much. But yeah, we lost the arrest to Zingy. Then the maximum was P2, which we got in the end. But yeah, with Charlie into stow, and completely lost the rear end with the overspeed. that I really enjoyed. Devon went wide, and I was like, well, I have to go for it now. Went down the inside. He had like a big moment on the exit, and then we went hand in hand over the finish line, I guess. So. But yeah, P2 and P3 was probably the maximum I could get. Maybe a P2 at Monza, but oh well.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty crazy. All we really want to know, though, is that if you didn't lose DRS, do you think that you, Nifajam, will have won the British Grand Prix? Say yes. 100%. Yes, you would have.
I think one of the me, Charlie, or Devon would have probably had a bigger chance of winning. Yes.
Fair enough. Thank you very much. And we'll see you next time. Well done today. Great effort, and I can't wait. Thank you. And we move on to Zingy. Zingy, Monza, obviously on time penalties. You still got the victory. You delivered an authentic pizza, and then the delivery man came back again. Got one from Iceland instead. But British land, you managed to get it done on track that time. Are you happy with that? Did you think that Silverstone was maybe a little bit luckier for you, or do you still think that you had the outright pace to win?
Well, the first race, Monza, it was all right. It was a bit difficult because you know me, Aaron. I'm not the best at Monza, and I can admit that. And I think Charlie or High had the pace, so I was a bit nervous about that. I just tried to stay P2, and then High on lap 14 went for quite an audacious move, tried to do a Max Verstappen, and then he realised he was High, and then he got front wing damage, which made it quite easy for me and Charlie to pull away because Niffle obviously got damaged as well. And on time penalties, I got it, which is not the way I want to win, but he just stuck his nose in a shouldn't have been, so it happens sometimes. And Silverstone wasn't bad either. You ask if it's lucky, I wouldn't say it's lucky. I just seen them battling the whole time, and I thought, well, I can push now and get out of the DRS, which I did, and then I pulled away eventually 4 or 5 seconds towards the end of the race, so I definitely had to pace more in Silverstone than I did Monza, but I think Silverstone was more earned than Monza for sure.
Fair enough. Well said, and definitely showed that. So you've done a very good job, and that is according to, as long as you've started a race in the launch season, you've only lost 2 races. No. You've lost 1 race. So you've got, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5
6
wins. Is that 5 wins out of 6 that you could have done? So that's very impressive stuff. Well done, Zingy. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to the summer season, whether you'll be in it or not. I hope we can see you at least for a couple of races. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. And that's been it for the post-race interviews. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. We will see you for the summer season in 2 weeks' time for the Spanish Grand Prix. We will not see you tomorrow for more racing because it's Sunday. We'll see you on Tuesday for some more lobbies. Have a good one. Enjoy the Euros, and we'll see you next time.